Back on the right stand with the latest coming in from Turkey and Syria, where 9 days later the devastation is writ large. The death toll is going to still further mount. It's already crossed the 41,000 mark, ladies and gentlemen, both Turkey and Syria put together. Turkey itself is 35,000 plus death. The death toll in the nations has crossed this number of 41,000, and there are experts who believe that it could go up to twice as much. That's the level of destruction and devastation that can be witnessed across 10 different provinces that have been hit. The World Health Organization has described the quake in Turkey as the worst natural disaster in a century in what it characterizes as its Europe region. The United Nations has estimated that up to 5.3 million people in Syria may be homeless after the quakes. Lakhs of people are in urgent need of food and shelter in both nations. In fact, the NDRF has provided relief material and aid to Aleppo on Wednesday. It included medication and aid received from international communities. So let's bring you up to speed with some of the numbers. They're quite disheartening, ladies and gentlemen. 41,000 plus killed in both Turkey and Syria put together. More than 13,000 plus are injured. 195,000 plus have been evacuated. 7 million plus have been affected. 249,000 plus search and rescue personnel are on ground working tirelessly to try and save lives. 9,000 plus personnel from 82 nations have also arrived in Turkey and Syria. 100 nations have stepped up to offer assistance. 12,300 vehicles are plying in affected areas in rescue relief efforts. 170 helicopters, 76 aircraft, 26 ships, 227,000 plus tents, and 26 lakh plus blankets have been provided so far. But all of this is still not enough. There are not just instances of loot that are coming through. There are clear dearth of personal hygiene products, diapers, sanitary pads, and of course instant medication. More importantly, blankets and more. And now the real danger is of epidemic spreading because of rotting dead bodies under the debris. CNN News 18 Siddhant Mishra is on ground zero tracking the aftermath of the quake. Have a look at this report.
We are in Noor Dagi, one of the worst affected areas post the earthquake, and in fact behind me also there is this stretch which is completely devastated. And in fact this morning when I was passing through, I could see people pulling out their sofas. They were pulling out their basic amenities from this debris. It is a very dangerous structure, and in fact the army here is not allowing people to go inside because it's very dangerous. Even locals are also not going inside. But always efforts are being made to pick whatever little they can pick. What are the real problems, and what help you need from country like India and other countries? What help we should send for you people?
Firstly, thanks for everything to come here and help for us. And our government mostly help about everything, about accommodation, food, and some clothes. We don't need any food, any clothes, but mostly problem in here, containers and about some home. It will be a very big challenge for us. Don't know. I'm not sure about this. I don't see tomorrow even what will happen. We will pray to God and we will start to I don't know.
Okay. So this is a situation of almost every house here in Noor Dagi where I'm reporting from, and in fact look at the devastation around me. I would ask my video journalist to pan and give sense to our viewers. So this is the level of devastation. In fact, now after almost a week's time, people are coming back and they are pulling out their stuff, the basic stuff which is lying here. And in fact, they are. This is the only hope left, and they really don't know. They don't have any clue. What are they going to do? How are they going to build the city? They say the only hope is God, and they don't have any idea whatever is possible government is doing. All they require is toilets, heaters, and shelter homes, containers, so that they can protect themselves from cold.
Big news coming in here on the right stand, where there's yet another big mega setback to this cash-strapped, almost bankrupt nation that is Pakistan. Its ally and host China has dumped Pakistan and said it's an unsafe country. Sources have told CNN News 18 that China has decided to close consular section in Islamabad until further notice, citing security threat. China has announced a temporary closure of the consular section of its embassy in Islamabad until further notice. The notice reads, due to technical issues, the consular section of the Chinese embassy in Islamabad will be temporarily closed from the 13th of February 2023 until further notice. Sources are also telling your channel that due to the rising security threats, China has been forced to take this decision. According to a source in Islamabad's diplomatic enclave, the Chinese embassy was getting threats from the Tehreek-e-Taliban and Baloch militants continuously. After the threats, majority of the Chinese families are also leaving Pakistan. Despite multiple assurances by Pak Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on his Beijing visit last year, China is still not feeling safe in Pakistan and is unhappy with the Shehbaz Sharif government. The source reveals that China is not happy with Shehbaz Sharif-led coalition government, as the attacks on Chinese citizens and its CPEC projects are only on the rise. Beijing has informed Islamabad that it can't do work and business in a grave security situation. Chinese workers are being threatened and killed in Pakistan. In December 2022, Australia, Saudi Arabia, the US and UK warned embassy staff to restrict roaming amid Islamabad because of terror red alerts. But this is not the only setback for Pakistan. Over the last few days, Pakistan has been facing global embarrassment. The first setback, China has closed the consular section due to security threat. The second setback, Fitch Ratings Agency has downgraded Pakistan, says default a real possibility. Setback 3, the IMF mission has left without staff-level agreement on bailout. Setback 4, President has refused to accept an ordinance path for new taxes to be levied. Setback 5, Virgin Atlantic has announced the suspension of services to Pakistan. Setback 6, China has suspended container deliveries without advance payment. Multiple setbacks. And then amidst all this, in the Pakistani National General Assembly, the interim bill of 170 billion budget has also been tabled today. Will it get passage? We have to wait and watch. Sushant Sareen, senior ORF fellow, is with us. Sushantji, China itself now wanting to pull the rug from under Pakistan's feet.
Anand, I wouldn't say they want to pull the rug, but I will certainly say that they don't want to invest any more in the rug. You know, I think they've lost enough money and that rug has started getting worn out. And I don't think the Chinese want to waste any more money. I think they understand that whatever money they have spent in Pakistan is no longer secure. They also understand that they need to adopt a slightly different posture, because it is well within the realm of possibility that even if Pakistan doesn't default, there will be a lot of pressure to reschedule their loans, to refinance those loans. And the Chinese, because they are the largest debtors of Pakistan, will have to take a major haircut. So I think, and that is something which the Chinese don't do. So I think they are trying to, show that, trying to already put pressure that don't expect this coming from us. So that is the second thing. The third thing is, of course, the security angle. Now, apart from everything else, the Chinese had asked the Pakistanis to allow them to bring their own security, both for the projects as well as for the Chinese workers in Pakistan. And that is one thing on which the Pakistanis balled. So I think that remains an outstanding issue. And because the threats are increasing quite alarmingly now, and these threats are expanding on a daily basis, if you just look at the kind of attacks that are coming from the western borderlands of Pakistan, from the TTP, every day, virtually every day, a couple of and sometimes even more security force personnel are being targeted and are being killed. Police posts are being attacked. Army convoys are being targeted. All sorts of things have started happening. The extortion networks are back in action. The kidnapping networks are back in action. So the security situation has deteriorated alarmingly. And I think the Chinese are seeing it and are feeling the heat.
Right.
So you add all of it together and I can understand where the Chinese are coming from. The rest of it, of course, the Virgin Atlantic not flying. There were very few airlines which flew into Pakistan anyways, and very few European ones. Virgin Atlantic was one of them, and they have stopped. And one of the reasons for that is that many of these foreign airliners have not been paid their monies.
Right.
So their monies have not been repatriated. Investors are pulling out because they can't take back their investments anymore. So they are liquidating their positions. There are companies which have closed down already. Others are in the process of closing down. This is what the beginnings of an economic meltdown looks like. And I don't think whether the IMF loan comes or does not come, and I have my doubts now that the IMF loan is going to come in time. But even if it was to come in time, Pakistan is not going to be out of the woods. It will be in pretty much the same situation it is in right now. Once it pays off its debts and once it clears all the outstandings, there are about thousands of containers standing, so they have to clear that. They have to clear payments of many of these companies, the shippers, the airlines, the companies which were trying to repatriate their profit. Once they go through all of it, they'll be back to zero. So whichever way you cut it, they are bankrupt. They just have to formally declare it.
Well, we have to see what happens because it looks like it's a certain countdown towards a meltdown. So, Shamsareen, I have to interrupt this conversation because we've got big news coming in from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Six Russian balloons were spotted over Kyiv, and most were shot down after being engaged by air defenses. This is the Ukrainian capital's military administration saying this. It is said on the Telegram messaging app that the balloons may have been carrying corner reflectors and reconnaissance equipment. Abhishek Jha now joins us. 6 balloons over Kyiv. They're pointing fingers at the Russians. What does this imply?
Anand, clearly this balloon saga has become really important in the time of this geopolitical crisis that is happening in Ukraine and between China and USA as well. Last week we have seen how these Chinese balloons were shot down by US aviators over the space of USA and Canada. And now today we are reporting that Kyiv has also shot down at least 6 balloons which they claim were of Russian origin and were trying to snoop around the Kyiv military base and its assets. And it looks like this the warfare that is that has gone back to little
So in this case, earlier fingers were being pointed only at the Chinese. Now the Russians are also to it. These are all World War II tactics. But does this mean that we should expect a bigger assault as we are counting down to 1 year of this Russia-Ukraine conflict?
So, ironically, when the war is actually nearing a year, and we should have expected more advanced weaponry being deployed in the war field, we are seeing some primitive technologies being deployed, and these are air balloons which were quite in fashion in World War I and World War II as well. And even now, it looks like their need or their profit or their benefit is as much important. This air balloon that are now snooping around military establishment have been there hanging over in the airspace for weather pattern assessment across the world, and various countries depute them. But now it looks like these are also being used for military and snooping purposes.
Well, clearly more instances of these spy balloons across the world and UFOs being spotted. But in this case, 6 balloons over Kiev means a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Is something brewing? That's what we've got to keep close tabs on. That's all we have time for in this edition of The Right Stand. Stay with us. Brass Tacks follows.